Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to this podcast, which is 4 out of 5 that I'm going to do in this series. So this one, just to let you guys know, if you haven't watched the other ones, this is based on Bashar's 5 spiritual laws, universal laws. So I chose this list of spiritual laws because it was short, therefore very profound and information packed and core, deep. I love that stuff. So here we are. Law 4. You get what you give. So this one says, what you put out is what you get back. Reality acts as a reflection of your dominant vibration, beliefs, and expectations. Your external experience mirrors your internal state. It says, similar to the law of attraction. Yeah. So all the lists have, something like this: karma, law of attraction, law of reciprocation, stuff like that. Which is kind of funny, because we're living backwards. We're living that the external conditions control us instead of us controlling the external conditions, which is very disempowering. And it seems to be that way for a lot of people. And I understand why. I understand why. Because, generally we use our brain, like I've talked a lot about in here, and our brain is just a database based on our past experiences, right? So when we're young and when we're children, we're exposed, we start formulating these belief systems, and these belief systems are, we're conditioned to think that the external world is happening to us. So of course that's a general collective belief system of planet Earth. Not everybody believes it, but most do. So therefore, of course, we're going to start believing it at some point too. And as we believe it, and it's reinforced that that's the case by society, then we're going to start accruing evidence that that's true. Right? So like if we're taught, as a child, that we're not good enough and we're never going to succeed, and we believe that because the adults and the people in charge are telling us that, then if we don't do what they say, then it's not really about who we are. It's just that we can't fit into society well. This was a version I got. So I don't fit into society well. So therefore, I'm never going to do good things in society. And society was the only thing that I could see. So I'm like, oh, okay. So since I'm a bad person, then I'll never be truly loved. I'll never be truly successful. I'll never be this. I'll never be that. So then if that's my belief system, that's what I think, because that's what I was conditioned to think. Now I'm walking through life thinking that, and then bad things start happening to me to reinforce that, right? So why? Because it's what I believe. It's my, it's what I'm putting out. So this is, one of the things that jumps out when I read this is it says it's a reflection of your dominant vibration, beliefs, and expectations, right? So a lot of people will sit there and go, well, no, I thought I was going to do really good at this job until I got fired. So that's not true. It's like, well, yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with your dominant vibration, your unconscious belief systems, and your true expectations on an unconscious level. That's what runs everything. We think, well, we think we think everything's cerebral, everything's in our brain. Well, hey, you know what? I'm going to put all my past behind me, and I'm going to experiment with this everything chain. I'm going to experiment with this law that what you put out is what you get back. That reality is just a reflection of what I'm thinking. Oh, okay. And we just have that on this surfacey level. And then we go, I'm going to think I'm going to do really good at this job. I'm going to do really good at this job. Now, and then we go and we try and we reinforce that belief system. And then something bad happens and we lose the job. And we're like, see, I tried it. No, you didn't, because you weren't affecting your dominant vibration. You weren't affecting your unconscious belief systems. And those are what oozes out of you. That's what emanates. That's the vibrational content of what's being telecast out to the world, out into the universe, out into spirit, which makes things happen. So you weren't affecting that. You were just doing some cerebral little exercise that's extremely surfacey. And you weren't paying attention to your dominant vibration, your unconscious beliefs, your deep expectations based on the last 40 years of experiences. You didn't do any of that. So that's why it didn't work. Like, this is deep, deep, deep work. Deep work. Like, I've done a lot of deep work, and there's still areas that I'm doing deeper work because I need to. Because all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, this hasn't, I'm not experiencing this in my life. Oh, well, there must be something blocking that then. Like, that's an empowering outlook. Like, I don't go, I used to think that life was against me and I never accomplished anything. But now I haven't accomplished everything that I'm going to accomplish, but I've accomplished a lot. I've accomplished getting sober. I've accomplished changing the type of life that I live. I've accomplished being responsible. I've accomplished being a good parent and a good person, and and starting a business and doing all. And the way that I accomplished the things that I have accomplished, like I said, I still have room for more. But the reason that I've accomplished the things that I have accomplished was because of the deep work on the belief systems that I've done. But then now all of a sudden I'm trying to go to this whole new level and express myself and my gifts in a whole new way. And all of a sudden I find out, oh, wait, Glenn, there's some aspects of that stuff that you dealt with that, yeah, you probably got 75% of it, but there's 25% that's still inside you, man. Why? Because, like, for me, so I'll give you a legit example. So I'm stepping into this abundance consciousness and helping others through philanthropy and this whole new chapter I'm getting into. And as I'm doing the internal work is more important than the stuff I'm doing on the external to make it actually happen. Although I'm doing that stuff too, but the internal work that I'm doing, all of a sudden, I find this peace from my childhood. Now I've known about the conditioning from my childhood. I've spoken about it many times, but then all of a sudden I saw this little piece that said, hey, Glenn, when you gave up on being a good person when you were in 7th grade because you were just in trouble all the time and you couldn't take the pressure anymore that you were putting on yourself and that other people were putting on you, and you decided, okay, screw it, I'm just going to try being bad for a while. I'll just have some fun and get rid of all this pressure. And then I did it and I liked it, so I kept doing it. Like, when I thought long and hard, like, you can't really accept that you're a bad person on a deep level without doing some contemplation. So in 7th grade I was doing some contemplation, And what does this mean? If I'm going to adopt this as my belief system, if I'm going to use this as a window of how I'm going to interact with life through that window, if this is a part of my reality that I'm going to use to interact with life, what does that mean? Like, this is a big thing. This is what I mean. Kids understand concepts. I was doing this in 7th grade. So I'm thinking, and I'm like, well, like, I don't fit. It means that I'm not going to fit into society ever. That's clear. I can't fit into it now. I can see how I wouldn't fit into it in the future, because I'm not able to do what they want me to do in the way they want me to do it. So I guess I have to forgo all that and just kind of create my own path. But it's not going to have all those things that it looks like society is offering. Oh, okay. So, all right. Well, I guess I'll forgo the things that society is offering. At that time in 7th grade, I thought that society was offering loving relationships, like, marriage. And I thought it offered financial success and accomplishment. So to me, I was like, oh, that's part of what I'm forgoing. Okay. Well, I have no other choice. I have to do this because I can't fit, I can't do the alternative. I can't fit in. So I'm going to have to take my own path that goes away from these things that you get if you fit in. So I guess I have to let go of those. Oh, well, crap. I wanted those. Oh, well. And then I just went off on my own path. Now, I wasn't consciously aware of that. I was consciously aware of a lack of self-love. I was consciously aware that low self-esteem. I was consciously aware of even how it manifested and affected me in many areas of my life. And I worked through a lot of that stuff. But there was a couple little pieces that I didn't really even know that I was hanging on to. And as I do this deep work, all of a sudden that comes up. And it's like, oh, okay. So this is what I mean when I'm talking about, it's not just this surfacey thing. It's something way deep down, your dominant vibration, your belief systems. This is why, I'm always talking about going into your body and feeling and reframing things and having dialogue with yourself, contemplating things and having dialogue with yourself and reframing those unconscious belief systems that are way deep down inside that you're not even aware of on a surface level, because those deep belief systems are what's driving you. I saw this when, everybody wants money, right? And I always wanted money, like a lot, maybe even a little more than most people, but I never had it, right? And I was very good with money because my father taught me how to be good with money. So, like, it was very confusing to me why I didn't have it, because there was a couple times where I got like 30 grand handed to me because of a particular situation. And within, I don't know, 3 to 5 years, I had pissed it away, and I'm like, how is that possible? Like, I'm good with money. I understand intellectually how things work and what I should be doing. And I was doing those things. And then I drop into this unconsciousness and do something stupid and start blowing it away. And then wake up and go, wait, what am I doing? I have to stop. And then I would do it again. I kept unconsciously sabotaging myself until the money was gone. And I didn't understand why until, I started doing some spiritual finance work and started looking at it going, oh, well, what it is it's, yeah, I want money on a surface level. Yeah, I know how to interact with money on a surface level through like intelligence and all that stuff, but that's not what runs reality. What really controls our behavior and the way the universe interacts with us is through the deep unconscious. It's much more powerful. So I had these belief systems that were rooted in my childhood where we got a pool put in and I was the rich kid. There's more to it than this, but this is how a quick way to explain it. So I became the rich kid. So then I go out into the neighborhood and it was like, oh, there's the rich kid. And we'd get in fights because they meant it as an insult, because being in a blue collar town, being rich was a negative thing. It meant that you were greedy and selfish and you thought you were better than other people. So if somebody called you rich, you're going to fight. So that was my deep-seated belief system. Even though on the surface I wanted money, I had to go deeper to find that, right? That was my dominant vibration. Money bad. Money means selfishness. I had adopted that as a belief system at a young age because that's what was impressed upon me. So it was my dominant vibration. As I change that, more abundance comes in, right? But before that, I would sabotage it. So this is what we have to understand as a reflection of our dominant vibration, right? There's multiple ways to come at this, but that's how our external experience mirrors back our internal state. It's here. It's my dominant vibration. That's why all work is self-work. Go in and do the work. Don't worry about what's going on in your life externally. Get lost in doing the work internally, and then all of a sudden, what do you just work on yourself, work on yourself, work on yourself, work on yourself. Most people work on themselves and they look outside. Is my life out there fixed yet? Oh, I'm going to work on myself for 15 more minutes, for another 2 weeks. Look back out there. Is my external world reflecting that back to me yet? No. See, this doesn't work. And then I get all frustrated. And it's like, no, just let go of your attachment to the external. Focus on the internal. Eventually that stuff will change. But if you're constantly keeping score, that means you don't trust, you don't believe anything that's happening inside of you because you're looking outside for validation. If you feel differently, then you feel differently. But we're not, most people don't use that as their guidance system. Just working on myself and how I feel inside, and am I peaceful? Am I happy? Am I open to joy and the abundance? Are there any blocks? Just do that work. And then all of a sudden you look outside and you're like, oh my goodness, wow, look, that's beautiful. Oh my goodness, look, my peace is being reflected back to me by who knows. It could be my boss getting fired, who was causing all kinds of controversy, or a coworker leaving the job, or maybe the neighbor that says some snide remark and it just doesn't bother you anymore where it used to. Who knows? But you can't use the external, that has so much of our attention that we do a little internal work, then we look at the external. Okay. Is it, I did a lot of work on here. Where's my payoff? Out there. It's like your payoff isn't out there. Your payoff is in here. How you feel, how you think, how you interact with life. That's the payoff. And then does it start being mirrored back to you? Yes, eventually it does. Don't worry about that. Just worry about yourself. Worry about, your internal, and then your external will start reflecting that back to you. And another aspect of this that I learned was, a lot of times we get very frustrated because people are behaving poorly and they're not getting negative repercussions from our perspective. So we think that's not fair. And why should I be good and all this stuff? When I was going to family court all the time with my ex and stuff, and I would see her lying and manipulating and all this stuff. And there was a part of me that was like, man, I got a life previous to the spiritual one, and I could outdo her in this lying manipulation field really easily. I should do that because it looks like she's winning and I'm losing. And when I was one of the times I was contemplating that, I was really diving in, and I was like, okay, all right, Glenn, then go ahead, do it. You're painting this picture that it's all nice and wonderful, and so go ahead, go manipulate, go lie, cheat, steal, do whatever you got to do to accomplish what you think you want to accomplish. Go ahead. Nobody's telling you you can't. If that's what you really want to do and you really think it's better, then go ahead and do that. That's one of the ways I talk to myself, is just, if my ego is standing up saying, oh, this is better, this is better, I go, oh, okay, well, then go ahead. Go ahead, do that then. That's what you really want. Go ahead. And then I'm forced to think on it at a deeper level, because now you're starting to think about consequences of what will happen if I actually go do that, instead of I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, when you're about to, all of a sudden the consequences pop up and you go, well, if I do that, then this is going to happen. Do I really want to experience that? Right. So I gave myself permission to go ahead and do that. And immediately it was like, I was like, okay, I can revert back to the type of person I was before. Go ahead. I'm going to do that. And I'm like, well, yeah, what would that look like? And all of a sudden I got this feeling that shot through my whole body. That was the most disgusting, horrible, icky, made my skin crawl feeling. It just shot through my whole body. And I was like, oh my God. And I instantly knew that that was the energy in which I used to walk around in, that I thought was normal, like hating myself and putting out bad and hurting other people. And I mean, I wasn't a malicious hurting other people type. But I would hurt other people in different scenarios, mostly unconsciously, but whatever. But like, being who I used to be, I felt that. I was gifted a shot of that energy just for a second. It was just like, oh. And I instantly knew that would be the dominant vibration inside of me. That's who I would be walking around as if I chose to live that type of life. And I was like, immediately, I was like, absolutely not. I will never, ever walk through life embodying that energy again. Well, and I understand that I wasn't consciously aware of it when I was doing it previously, because I wasn't walking around through life all day going, I don't like the way this feels, right? It's not like that when you're living it, but it is pretty horrific. You battle depression, like all kinds of unpleasant things. Your circumstances are reflecting negativity back to you all the time. It's just horrible, horrible life. I would never go back to that. And I realized that I would never wish it on my worst enemy. And that's when I realized that my ex-wife wasn't getting away with anything. She had to walk around, even if she was unaware of it, in a vibration of that manipulation and anger and hatred. Oh, nobody gets away with anything. The punishment is built right into the sin, because what you put out is what you get back. So if you're putting out bad and negative, that's what you're getting back. There's no escaping it. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's any other directions I want to come at this from. Well, I think I touched on this in the last one. It bleeds into the we are all one mentality. But yeah, we have to put out good if we're going to feel good. Like, so this is one other way I can come at it to kind of maybe wrap it up. Like, oftentimes I see on social media and people talking about how people with big hearts or good hearts or loving people or wonderful people or good people, or however you want to phrase it, bad things happen to them. And that just goes up my ass sideways. It really does, because it's just such a lie, and it's such a victim mentality, martyr mentality. It's just a load of crap, right? And this is why you can't put out good and then all of a sudden get a bunch of negativity back. You can't do that. So what's happening is, like, we're not actually putting out good. Like this, like we really have to contemplate this stuff and take everything. I guess if there's one overarching message that I just saw is everything that I've talked about in all of my podcasts, let alone these last ones, talking about these laws. If you get one thing, it's to take it deeper. Contemplate this stuff on a deep level, because the intellectual level does nothing. It doesn't do anything. And we're so surfacey. We think we understand things, and we try to implement things that we don't understand. Then we wonder why they don't work. It's because we don't understand them. So being a good person, you actually have to understand what that is before you go try to do it, because we're all trying to do it. Being a good person is just this, it's part of the spiritual shift. It's bubbling up within us. There's a yearning to be a good person that's stronger than it's ever been. And instead of really going inside and understanding it and feeding it and embracing it, what we're doing is we're staying on a surface level and we're rationalizing our poor behavior. It's like it started with thou shalt not kill, and then killing in the name of God. That's rationalization. That's complete BS. It literally says thou shalt not kill, and then you're going to go kill somebody in the name of God. That makes zero sense. You have to rationalize that for it to make sense. And we do this in our daily life instead of doing the real work. We just sit on the surface and we go, like somebody cuts us off in traffic or something, and we flip them off and we're like, jerk, and then somebody is like, oh, I thought like you were loving. Well, I am, unless somebody treats me like a jerk. Oh, well, that's not the law, though. It's just you being loving isn't contingent on what somebody else does. That doesn't make it okay. Like, for some reason, through our rationalizations, we've decided that two wrongs make a right. If somebody wrongs us, then we can wrong them. If somebody lies to us, then we can lie to them. No, that just means we have two wrongdoers and two liars. That's all it means. It doesn't mean that lying is suddenly right just because somebody else did it. So this is the law that we're touching on. So doing good for others, if you do good in the energy of love, then you cannot be hurt. You cannot be hit with negative consequences for that. It's impossible, because you're putting out good. If that's your dominant vibration, then good is going to come back to you. That doesn't mean that nobody could ever take advantage of you. It just means that if they do, you see it through love, and then you might set up a healthy boundary out of self-love and not put them in the situation to take advantage of you again. That's all. But you don't take it personally, because you know that it's not them. And you know that you don't have to punish them, because whatever they put out, they're going to get back. So that's their own karma. That's their own deal. It's okay. You just learned something. How to be responsible with your love. How to be responsible with being a good person. Being a good person isn't being a doormat. It's not allowing people to walk all over you. You have to be responsible for your energy. I'll put it in a money explanation, but it's just energy. Your energy is the same. Money is just energy. So it doesn't matter if I'm talking about money or if I'm talking about energy. The dynamics within are the same. So like if you have $10,000 and then you give your debit card to somebody and they drain the $10,000 out of your account when you told them only to take out 100. Okay, well, that's being irresponsible on your part. Don't give somebody access to everything if you only want them to have a little. You are the giver. The giver sets the limits, not the taker. You have to be in control of your money. You have to be in control. When you choose, or if you choose to give somebody $20 and then they go do something that you don't want them to do with it, that's okay. You can't control their behavior. You gave them the $20, maybe in hopes that they were going to do something good, but they went and bought drugs with it. Okay, well, then don't give them $20 anymore. but it's not a personal hit on you. You gave them the $20. That was a nice gesture. Don't do it again if you don't want them spending it on drugs, or you'd like them to actually maybe seek recovery and live. Maybe you shouldn't do that. This is what they call enabling. We enable people to continue their poor behavior, and then we play the martyr or the victim that, oh, we're just doing wonderful things for wonderful people, and they just keep abusing us with it. It's like you have to interact with reality as it is. If they showed themselves to be irresponsible, then why are you giving them the responsibility of handling your money or your time or your energy or your home or your anything else? Why are you putting it in their hands? They've shown you that they're irresponsible, and you're taking your happiness and your peace and your well-being, and you're handing it over to somebody that's incapable of managing their own life. And then you're wondering why they're having a trouble managing yours. They can't manage theirs. Why would you give them control over yours? Don't do that. That's not loving. That's not good. That's foolishness. That's irresponsibility. You're being irresponsible. That's why they're taking advantage of you. You want to know why people don't usually take advantage of me? Sometimes it happens, but if it happens, then I look at it and I go, Jesus, is something I can tighten here? Should I set up another boundary so I'm not taken care of? Or do I have enough boundaries and this one just kind of sneak through and I got to let that slide every once in a while? That's what I do. But if somebody takes advantage of me, it just doesn't happen very often. But if it does, that's what I do. I try to learn from it. I don't play the victim and go, oh, they took advantage of me. I'd go, oh, okay, how can I prevent this from happening in the future? Or is it just one of those things that I just need to accept? It's not that big of a deal, and it's part of living on planet Earth with all kinds of different individuals. And this is just a young soul that hasn't learned enough yet. So I just don't put my stuff in his hands anymore. So hopefully you guys see how this stuff, I'm trying to, explain it in different ways, practical ways. I'm trying to show you how this stuff tangibly improves your quality of life, because that's the point of it all. I just went through 4 laws. I'll do one more podcast on the 5th aspect. But, the whole point is so you guys will take these 5 things, or even just pick one, man, and go deep with it and try to implement it and try to understand it on a soul level. Your soul already understands this. So just ask your soul to help you remember it, and conceptually inside your body, and try interacting through life with it. Just pick one and do it with one. And then later down the road, maybe you'll decide to pick a second one. Don't worry about that, though. There's only the here and now, right? So just pick one and try to, maybe the one you're most familiar with, or the one that feels the most comfortable, or the one that feels easiest or something, if there is one. And just, try to do that, because it will literally start reflecting back to you. These things are so profound. They will literally change your life. We spend a lot of time with this age of information, trying to get more information and trying to learn more stuff. This is it, man. Just do these. That's one of the reasons why I like the 4 Agreements book, because it's just like, just do that. Like, we don't have to learn more, man. It's just putting off our awakenings. We have to embody more. We have to change the dominant vibrations and beliefs within us. And we'll know that we've done it when we start interacting with life through it. When there was a situation that used to upset you and you respond in love, then you've embodied it. And when it becomes consistent, then you've embodied it. And then all of a sudden you look up and you're like, oh my God. Oh my goodness. All kinds of things are reflecting this back to me already, and I didn't even notice them. Or maybe you'll start noticing the little ways that reflects back to you right away. Everybody's different. But it will change your life. And I know that's why you guys listen. You guys want the peace, love, and happiness as much as I do. So, all right. That's going to do it for now. Thank you guys for listening. We got one more to go. And I will talk with you soon. Peace. I think. Peace. For some reason, this isn't ending.